You're tuned into RX Radio. Movement prescribed. Brought to you by Prescript.com. A personalized approach to keeping you healthy and making your best even better. Your hosts, Dr. Jiunta and Shallow and Dr. Jiunta.
Mark said something the other day, and I want to try this. So if everyone's listening to this, or everyone who's listening to this wants to be part of a little bit of a social experiment. So when we remember to, we always like, hey, like and subscribe and whatever to the podcast. And we think that matters in iTunes rankings, but it's been brought to my attention that that might not be the case. And I did a little bit of digging, and I looked at some podcasts because I always kind of keep an eye on the charts, as it were, to see kind of how our friends are doing and what the new podcasts are. And I never really saw a strong correlation between well, I don't want to say a strong correlation, but some of our friends that have massive podcasts in the fitness space have massive followings, and rightfully so. And they have a bajillion reviews and and I know their downloads, and it's just crazy. But every now and then, you go through the iTunes store and you go through podcasts and you go to the category. So you go to health and fitness. And for those of you who want to do a little thing with me, do this as I'm going. Go to your iTunes, go to health and fitness, scroll down, go to fitness, go to see all. And then it's going to go to all-time bestsellers. So when you're in the iTunes store, you go all-time bestsellers. And who do we got? You got Greenfield, Mind Pump, Kyle Kingsbury, Barbell Shrug. That's the top line, right? And you scroll down, and there's Whoop, and there's that Jordan Syatt guy, and there's Muscle for Life, Mike Matthews, 50% Facts. There's some friends. We know some people. Mike Casu's in there. A lot of familiar faces, but a lot of unfamiliar faces as well. And there's a way that's been brought to my attention for people to kind of let's call it hacking the rank. So I'm going to see if I can pick up some that I have no idea who they are, and they don't necessarily have the ratings or reviews that would be equivalent. Let's go to Mind Pump real quick. Shout out to the homies at Mind Pump. Jordan just finished recording Mind Pump has over 6,000 5-star reviews and 1,300 episodes. What in the actual fuck? Well deserved, fellas. But now let's go for a dig, right? Let's go for a dig. If we're in the fitness space and we start to go around, let's just pick one at random. Oh, I don't know. Let's get a good one. Maybe the M-Body Radio. Let's check M-Body Radio. And I don't want to trash anyone. Okay, nope, she's up there. All right, shouts out M-Body Radio. The Happy 50 Show. 167 reviews. And it's, or the Flippin' 50 Show. And so 167 reviews, yet ranking in the top 20. On fitness on iTunes. Do you have any idea how many podcasts there are in the fitness space? Do you have any idea how many I've been on since COVID started?
Probably more than 20.
I would say I've probably done 100. Yeah. Right? But there's a trend in these podcasts that I'm starting to see as I look. Here's one. 1 Year No Beer is a podcast that has 97 reviews, and yet it is ranks amongst the top podcasts in iTunes Health. We're talking, I would argue that at this point, tens of thousands of podcasts in the iTunes store in the fitness space alone, and you're cracking the top 50 with 100 and something reviews. Because right now, at the current moment, we are not in the top, which we like to show our head every now and then. We string together some half decent episodes that gets us up there. But I want to do an experiment. If everyone listening to this right now, what I want you to do, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, just hit subscribe. And if you are, I don't know, hit it again or don't, because that might unsubscribe. But go to RX Radio's page, and for as far as the eye can see or scroll, just hit get. So under price, everything's free. You just hit get, and then it downloads the podcast. So for as many as you feel like doing, and if you want to do it for all of them, that'd be sweet, but that's like 190. Just hit get on all of them. And then when you're done, just clear them off. I just want to see if this is a thing that happens, because we've been kind of approached. So we have 363 5-star reviews. Fucking right. Thank you for everyone who's reviewed. But I don't think it says we have clean lyrics. Oh, yikes. That's got to get changed. But I don't necessarily think that I don't want to say it doesn't matter, because it matters to us, and shouts out, I do appreciate it. Although I'm always a little bit concerned of the people we have 3 1-star reviews, 1 3-star review, and 4 4-star reviews. I think the one that hurts the most is the 1 3-star review. That's like
just mediocre.
We're so mediocre, but it's mediocre enough to actually comment on. Like I know people who are very mediocre, but they're just like nothing about them adheres to memory. So I just forget about them. But we're so mediocre in this person's eyes that we're actually worth taking the time out of their day. Like, let me tell you why you're so fucking average. On a scale of 1 to 5, this is why you're just meh. But
that's so true. I feel like I have so many people that would just review me 1 star in life just because like oh, this guy's like an asshole. I don't fucking like this guy. You know, you can write that off. But the 3-star, that stings.
There was gonna be an app that rated people. Like, I get offended when like Airbnb people like rate me and leave me a review. Like, motherfucker, I had someone on Airbnb kiss my ass. Like, I'll reach out from behind you while you're driving the car and choke you with a plastic bag. You leave me a bad review. So the 1-star review says, worth the listen, 1 star. These guys are pretty good. They are witty and funny. I don't agree with everything they say, yet they are informative. And that's a 1 star? Dude, if I got that on like a grade school report card, my mom would take me to McDonald's. Like, that's fucking dope. Like, why are you leaving me 1 star for that? Anyways, back to my point. What I want you to do, if you're still listening, sorry, I'm scrolling trying to find this fucking 3-star review.
I love how interactive this is, though.
Yeah, you know, it's like we're riding along with you. And people had said, oh, I feel like you're in the car with us. It's like, I've been in the car with us. It's not as much fun as you think. So what I want you to do is go to iTunes, and probably easiest to do it on your computer. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And then on all the episodes you can see, just hit get and see what happens. I have a feeling that, given some intel that we have from our brainchild at the center of this operation, Mark Masiri, that podcasts are paying people in Bangladesh to get tens of thousands of Apple ID accounts, and in a massive flurry, go through and click. And that's what they do all day. They subscribe and click get on all of this. Like, so let's say we paid these Bangladesh people, whatever, $500 a month. They would go in and continuously cycle through thousands and thousands of fake Apple ID accounts and actually hit like get and basically download the episodes and subscribe across all these. And then the Apple iTunes or Apple podcast algorithm would see that and then start to rank it. So I want to see, if you guys are listening and you have the time, greatly appreciated. If you've left a review before, shouts out. But at the same time, like, let's see if after this episode, if people can do this, let's see if we can start to climb the ranks even for a day or so. And see if we can start to rival the likes of these other podcasts that have less reviews. Because we used to think ratings reviews were really going to be the driver. But we're starting to think that might not be the case. So go to Apple iTunes, go to subscribe. And if you could, just hit get on all the episodes that you can. If you want to do all 190 or whatever we're at now, then that'd be sweet. And let's just see if this moves the needle. Hacking the system. Power to the people.
I'm excited to see. Please don't leave us 3-star reviews, though.
Yeah, just mediocre as fuck. But because it was never our goal when the nice thing with us with the podcast is we never really had a goal with it. And so we far exceeded our expectations that were non-existent.
Absolutely.
But I think it's worth talking about goal setting in a sense when you do actually want to achieve an end result.
Slightly important. slightly more relevant to me for things in the gym than podcasting, I guess.
But yes, in the gym, I think you're downplaying that a little bit because, like, outside the gym, you know, you've done more with your life than I'm sure a lot of people thought you were going to do.
Probably true.
Dude, I sat next to you in class. Our professors are dumbfounded and pissed that we are gainfully employed.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And yeah, I think a big part of it is just that thought process that for me, it always started with sports. It started with strength and conditioning, and you just transfer it literally to everything in life. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, business or podcasting or whatever the hell you're doing. But it's just learning to be able to set a goal and realistic, obtainable goals and continue to keep knocking them off.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is people lack, like, they don't take an inventory of themselves. So they set goals that A, are vague, and B, when they fail in previous attempts to reach goals, they don't ever ask the question as to why they didn't achieve the goals. They're just like, they always blame it on external circumstance, which is like, the problem is, and I don't know you, whoever you are listening, but I'll save you a lot of time and discomfort and tell you that you're the fucking problem. 100%. I don't know you. You could be the nicest person in the world, but if you're not reaching your goals, you're the fucking problem. And that's probably honestly the hardest part, because like we talk about goal setting a bit in the level 1 course, and SMART is like, you know, kind of the Miss America, you know, world peace sort of like, yeah, set SMART goals. And it's like, okay, sure. But what's like when one thing goes wrong with that model, right? Like when you run into some adversity, you probably going to have a better inventory of yourself to know how it is you're going to react or not react when things will inevitably go wrong. And I think that's where most people seem to fail, because most people do it in a way where it's like, it's an enjoyable process. And I don't think it's necessarily meant to be an enjoyable process.
Yeah. I mean, anything worth doing is going to have to, or anything worth obtaining, you're going to have to suffer a little bit to get, right? Whether that's working hard or, you know, whatever it might be. Do you not agree with that?
I think you're underselling how much suffering might be involved. Like,
Fair enough.
The little bit is like, that's, I mean, depends on like if the goal is to like, I want to get like eggs and milk from the grocery store. It's like minimal suffering involved.
Right.
But like, you know, I want to do something worthwhile and consequential and something that'll affect my life. It's like, buckle up.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be a rough one.
Yeah. Being able to endure some discomfort, or maybe a lot of discomfort, is going to be an important part of that process. So I think it all comes back to really determining before you set a goal is thinking about why you want to set a goal, or that specific goal, why it matters to you, and what makes it relevant. Because if it's something that, you know, is just irrelevant, or it's just, you know, this thing like, I want 6-pack abs, but I don't want to live the lifestyle that gives me 6-pack abs, and you're not willing to make that or give up and suffer in the way that it takes to be able to, you know, have the right diet or do the right exercise to get your 6-pack abs, you're never going to have 6-pack abs. So it has to be No, go ahead. I was just going to say, it has to be a goal that's relevant to you in a way that there's going to be some deeper driving factor that when, you know, there's a cupcake on the counter, you just walk right the fuck by.
Yeah. And I think the specificity of the goal to the individual, the more you can really tailor it, like the more like, I think of it this way. I'm looking for a place to live in Toronto, and it's so annoying when you're on like rental sites or looking at houses, and it's just like, I'll spend an extra 5 minutes setting the most narrowed search criteria possible. Right. So it's like, you know, I want minimum this square footage, minimum this amount of bedrooms. This is the location I'm looking at. You know, do I want first floor? Do I want air conditioning? I want washer. I want dryer. Right. Rather than like, let's see what all the options are out here. And then I just get frustrated and say, fuck it, I'm not going to do it. But then you look at the options, like there's maybe on good, you know, real estate websites, there's maybe like 20 search criteria. And you look at that like, fuck, this is a lot. And it's like, well, what's my other option? To go through the 30,000 condos and houses? It's like 20 is actually, you know, orders of magnitude less work if I just do it now. I'm doing a lot of front end work, so I don't have to do a lot of back end work. If I just like open up a map and be like, all right, I want to live, maybe it's Hyde Park, maybe it's Liberty Village, maybe it's Distillery, and I just go, I want to live in all these places. It's going to give me an overwhelming number of places I need to look at, where it's okay, now I look at this 20 to 30, different search criteria in this field and go, all right, this is very cost effective in the currency of time. Like I look at this and go, all right, I want a minimum square foot of 800. I want 2 bedrooms. I want this, and this. Now all of a sudden, this is saving me. I see this because I've done this process enough where I'm just like, oh, I'm not doing all this search criteria stuff. Fuck it. I just want to see everything in here and just start to look. It's like, oh, I like this one. It's like, yeah, $7,000 a month. It's like, oh man, like. It's like, yeah, if you just set that criteria in the filters, and I feel like, with the 6-pack abs goal that people try and set, that's someone not really honing in on the filtered criteria, right? So like, with like the business, it's like and I think the driving factor behind this would be specificity, but like also like that's more of like an external thing. Like what do I want the desired outcome to manifest as? But on the internal, it's like, what are my biggest barriers? Like for me, for the longest time, it was waking up early. That was probably one of the biggest reasons I wasn't getting shit done. I know I'd wake up late, and this was like grad school. Like, and I wanted to graduate. Like I obviously paid all this money and I wanted to graduate. So I got in the habit then of like waking up pretty early. It's like, okay, that I could look at, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive and apply that to chiropractic college and be like, specific? Yeah, it's a professional degree. It's specific. Measurable, it's like they're going to grade me on my test. Attainable, I know chiropractors. I'm not as stupid as some of them. So yes, realistic, kind of the same as attainable. Time sensitive, it's like I got like 3.5 to 4 years. Yes. But like at no point in that equation, that's why I don't necessarily like smart goal setting. Did it take into consideration what time I was waking up every morning, right? What was my behaviors of studying in class, right? Like what was my note-taking ritual? Like, dude, I did not bring a pen to grad school, period. Test days, shout out Kirsten Bryson if you're listening. Kirsten Bryson got me through grad school just by giving me a pen. She would literally bring an extra pen with my name on it because I didn't show up with one. It's like, I had all the SMART goal stuff checked off, but it was the micro habits on the day-to-day that sort of make and break you.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that stuff is just basically habit forming. Jordan, set your alarm for 6 a.m., pick up a pen before you go to class. And it's just these little things that, yeah, they might not be in the greater plan, but there's the building blocks and the day-to-day habits that are going to contribute to the big picture. So I
always remember you had like the background on your phone when you're competing is what? What's the background on your phone?
Yeah, it's almost always been just some sort of goal. It's something that, it started when I was wrestling in like high school, maybe even sooner than that, middle school or grade school. It's, you put your goal on your mirror every morning when you're brushing your teeth, you look at it. It's just a visual reminder that this is the goal. This is what I'm going to obtain. And it just kind of evolved over time. I remember, I think I've actually told this story on the podcast before, but there's this old, like, I don't want to call him senile because he wasn't senile, but he was like on the border and he was blind, but he was like the fucking OG wrestling coach in like the middle of nowhere town. And like twice a week, me and a couple of friends would like drive down like a 30-minute drive, go to the school just to wrestle with their team because it was better than our team. But this guy, he gave us this coin. And he said, put it in your left shoe. A fucking, like a $50 size coin. He said, put it in your left shoe. Now, this is your motivation. This is your reminder of your goal in this match. If you're, down X amount of points, if, he's stronger than you, if he's bullying you around, this is your reminder. You feel that coin rattling around your shoe, you're never going to give up. That's your reminder that you're going to win this wrestling match. So it's just like these little things that I guess, in my mind have been like hardwired into me. So it's like, yeah, you look at the back of my phone, it's always, right now, this is my goal right here. So
it's an audio podcast. So I'm going to just go ahead and dictate that it says prescript on it. So
yeah, exactly. But whenever I've been competing in something, like you've seen my phone before, it has like, leading into the AO finals this past year, it said 120, 150. My goal was a 270 total. So like the things that I'm chasing, it's literally living in the back of my skull. And then that's every decision I make through the day is going to be radiated out from that.
Yeah, I think having it exist like visually is super helpful. And like I know a lot of people who do like the bathroom mirror thing, and that's an interesting one. There's a weird sort of like, because the reflection, without getting too like metaphysical, and seeing that in the reflection would be, it's weird. I had someone like deep dive on it. It's actually like the best poker player. I mean, let's say the winningest poker player of all time did that. Phil Hellmuth, if you read his stuff, and his wife used to tell me that she would have to clean the bathroom mirror, but like leave that on there. And he was doing that for like 20, 30 years. He's been around for a minute. So like, but I think the visual reminders like throughout the day, like the coin thing is a really good one. The back of the phone, I think, is a good one, because it's easy to do that first thing in the morning. Like it's easy to look at that, like, you haven't had life shit on you yet, hopefully. Like, because sometimes I feel like the groundhog, like sometimes I feel like Punxsutawney Phil. Like I wake up, I roll over, I look at my phone, and I'm just like, nope, Jordan saw a shadow today. He's going back in. Like today's already a bad day. And I think you need those reminders and the points when you need to be reminded, right? Like, I know a lot of people who are like meditative and like all this first thing in the morning, but come around lunchtime, noonish, like, nah, I'm gonna rip your throat out. Like it's like they get real kind of on edge. It's like, dude, what's the point? Like, what are you doing all that like meditation stuff for if you're gonna fucking rip the guy's head off at the drive-through window? Like now is when you need to do it. Like first thing in the morning, like I'm always kind of meditating first thing in the morning. I'm like half asleep, cross-legged somewhere. Like I'm not sitting there, doing what's a transcend. What's the fucking popular one where you're yelling shit?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole meditation thing is like, because the reason I like roll my eyes when I like hear it done, and like my buddy Ben did it, and he's a pretty like level-headed dude, but podcasting space definitely lends itself to people who are like, I would say we're probably like the youngest fitness podcasters for the most part that like continually, like most people are like, mid to late 30s or even like, 40s and above. They've been around for a minute, not as in the trenches, I would say, as me and you. I would say like of people actively competing in their sport, we're still in it. So it's a little bit easier on the other side. Like I'm only speculating, but I think it's a little bit easier on the other side of it. Like when you're not as entrenched in the thing, like it's easy to talk about it and a lot harder to be about it. Not to like pump our own tires or anything, but a lot of people like to talk about meditation and all that. And in similar ways, a lot of people like to talk about their goals. And it's like real G's move in silence, man. Like people who usually achieve like the biggest things are ones that aren't like, because it's the background on your phone. It's not the post on Instagram every day. Like when I start to see, and it's not a terrible way for people to stay accountable, but when I start to see people like putting their goals up on social media, it's like, what are you doing this for, man? Like, is the outcome so you can, is the intent of the outcome to put it up on social media as well? Like, do you only want to lift that so other people can see you lifting that? Do you only want six-pack abs so other people can see your six-pack abs? Like, are you doing this thing for you, or are you doing it for social media?
Right. I think that's a really big thing right now. It's just outsourcing accountability, because that's really what it is. It's people not holding themselves accountable or not having the tools to hold themselves accountable. And really what they're doing is, all right, if my, X amount of followers can see this post, then that means that all these people know that I intend to do this. So I don't necessarily have to hold myself accountable, because 4 people I see in the gym every day are going to ask me about this thing that I posted about. So.
Outsourcing accountability. And you know what usually comes with outsourcing accountability and goal setting? Is outsourcing responsibility when things go wrong.
Yeah.
those two go together like fucking lamb and tuna fish, man. Like those two are so, because it just tells you the whole the trajectory or the thought process or like the epicenter of that goal is not, and it's usually a red flag to me that your goal is not really yours. It's what you want, what you think other people want you to have. And I'm guilty of that, man. Like there's stuff I did in my life because like, oh, like I think my parents would want me to do this. Like I should probably do it. And it's like, I'm doing it for them. So I make sure that the outward projection of accountability is on them. At the end of the day, I do it. It's like, well, this has done nothing for me. Right. And I'm not like, I don't have fucking like Asian parents or anything like that. So it's not like super, like, I'm not like not eating if I don't like get an A in school or anything like that. But like, I think when people immediately start to outsource their accountability on the front end, these are the same people that are going to outsource responsibility on the back end. Right. And it's like, this is the same person. It's like when shit flies off, it's like, you're definitely, to double back to our original point, and I don't even know if it was on this recording, but you're definitely the problem. 100% you're definitely the problem, right?
Yeah. And you can tell that when in the way that they react when they come up short or when they start to fail or when they, just totally change directions altogether. It's your reaction to failure is going to reveal your true character and your true intentions around that one idea. I've probably fractured some bones that I'll never know about until I have like crazy arthritis in pursuit of goals that no one besides me gives a fuck about. It's not going to bring me money or fame or any of this shit, but it's just this like, goals, these abstract goals that I've set for myself for some, obscure reason that I have this like stupid motivation to accomplish. It's not for like Instagram or for the post or anything, but that's the type of motivation that I see a big lacking in that type of person who outsources the accountability.
Yeah. And I love the idea of like what you said there about like being abstract, and like the more abstract the goal, the more like I'm always impressed by like the dumbest world records. I love people who set dumb world records because it's like, all right, so there's a guy on Instagram, his name's Bud Jeffries. And he's on like a TikTok and all that, but he's like this classic strong man. He's just this big fucking farm strong guy, and he does like the most obscure shit. But it's like I look at someone like, so Bud's someone that comes to mind. Tony Sentiment, real world tactical, like the stuff Tony does. No one else, I don't think, could do it, but no one else would even think to do it.
Right.
And it's like good for you, man. Or like, the guy who's done the most unicycle dumbbell curls or whatever. It's like, all right, that's very unique. Like, someone will want to break that record because you set that record, but like you're the real one, right? Like, cause you came up with that very abstract. And I think the hard part about social media is we're so inundated with input that it actually starts to affect our output. We get told what our goals should be, and we look to act on what the going popular goals are, whether it's, six-pack abs or whether it's, fucking Ty Lopez rented Ferraris or whatever. I think he actually owns those, but, and that's like success is defined for us if you let it, right? And it's like, I know a lot of people who will call themselves successful, and they've come up with a very abstract definition of what success is, right? Like they're van people, or they're, they just travel around doing like odd jobs, and like to their life and their like very personal abstract. And I love that like concept of an abstract definition of what their goal is. They've achieved it. But to the masses, I think a lot of people are just so inundated with, the popular going rate of what gets shared and liked and subscribed to, that it's like, well, I guess, I don't know. Like, I feel like everyone who's setting goals as an adult is like, they're the same version of themselves that sat down in their high school guidance counselor office at like the age of 16. And it's like, what do you want to do for a living, Timmy? Like, I don't know. Well, you have an aptitude for burger flipping. So you ever consider a career in burger flipping? Like, would you like fries with that? It's like, go get them, Timmy. And it's just like people don't come up with, and I think that's the biggest thing. Like, all of the problems stem from setting goals that people probably don't actually want to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're not going to, in those moments that challenge you or those moments where you come up short, you're not going to, give that extra bit that you have to, or give that extra sacrifice that it takes to endure to accomplish this goal that you don't really give a shit about.
Yeah, and it's always easy because when you set a goal that is abstract, the things to the outward that look like huge obstacles are just like whatever. Because it's not hard, which is like a weird thing to hear. Like everyone works hard. And I don't want to say like people don't get where they're at by, like not work. And I'll compare it to this, like if I had a clone of me and we were both looking for the same apartment and one guy spent, 10, 20 minutes on the front end researching the neighborhoods he wanted to live in, going through the search criteria, and then the other guy was just like going through every single apartment in the GTA, both of those people are working hard, right? Mm-hmm. It's just one of those is more specific in what they want, right? That they can create a very abstract vision in their mind of like, or maybe abstract's not the word, but a very like personal, it's like succinct vision in their mind of what it is they want their place to look like. Well, I want it to be minimum this size and 2-bedroom and blah, 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 where the other person doesn't know what they want, right? So both of these people are working hard. And I think that's like where a lot of people get lost is like, they think the way to achieve goals is by working hard. It's like, no, like everyone works hard. The guy at the gas station working 60 hours a week that makes 45 grand a year works just as hard as Elon Musk. Flat out, right? Like Elon Musk working 60 hours a week, buddy at the mechanic is working 60 hours a week. What's the difference? Well, Elon Musk did a lot more front end work, right? Elon Musk set a lot more filtered criteria in how he was going to hone and target this effort. So like, he runs into an issue where one of the pumps stops working. It's like, all right, that's a problem. Elon Musk runs into, hey, SpaceX exploded the Facebook payload, and now we owe Facebook $653 million. Like, and I think a lot of times it comes down to like, again, like the clarity of vision that we've talked about in the past, and like the flexibility of process. Like I wanted to be a good hockey player. When someone's like, oh, if you do like some extra drills, you'll probably get better. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. Like that's not hard for me. But for someone who doesn't want to be a good hockey player, like those extra drills are going to be tedious and hard, and they're just going to stop. So like I always question people when they come to me, like, and I see it a lot like in the fitness space with podcasting and like online businesses, because somehow we still have a business like 4 years later. And it's like, oh, like I'm having a hard time with this. And it's like, dude, if this is what's giving you a hard time, you might want to reconsider, like, and not to be like a dick, but like to kind of be that like old man, blind wrestling coach, penny in the shoe sort of thing. It's like, do you really need a reminder at this stage in the game? Like you're not tapping out. This is frankly the easy part. So if you're not like emotionally invested in the process and therefore the outcome, like probably want to reconsider, right? Like this isn't really a hurdle. Like if this is questioning you and this seems difficult, like it might not be something that's your goal to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like what you said about the hard work in there, because that's the fitness space in a nutshell. It's all these people that really want to work really hard, but hard work doesn't equate to success. Hard work doing the right things equates to success. You can have two people that start from a relatively similar starting point, and they're both working just as hard, but if you give the one the right roadmap, the right things to do, you say, okay, this is how we're going to handle your nutrition. This is how we're going to handle your training split. All right, you're going to rest on these days. Make sure you're sleeping, drinking water, that kind of shit. And that person is going to have relatively good progress. If this person is just like, I'm going to go so fucking hard in the gym, and they work out so hard, they give themselves tendinitis in every single joint in their body, and then they don't work out for 2 months, then they're probably not going to accomplish the goals that they set out for themselves.
I would love to see a 5% nutrition Olympic weightlifting athlete. I would love to see like a Rich Piana inspired Olympic weightlifter. Like someone shows up to the meet in a low rider, like with face tattoos, just do an Olympic weightlifting meet. I feel like that would be like, because that's like kind of like, the grind includes Friday, # no days off, like, the 5%. And it's just, Olympic weightlifting, I feel, is so self-selecting away from that mindset, because it's like if you want to approach it in a very brute force way and just look at it from hard work, you'll get like literally nowhere. Like you'll get so brutalized and beat up that you'll never be able to even make it to like an amateur competition, let alone any sort of high level. So I feel like that, because it is so unforgiving, Olympic weightlifting is actually probably the best at exposing people's, I don't want to say mindset, but like willingness to actually achieve the goal. Like golf is something similar, because it's like, it's so frustrating. Like I can work hard at golf. Like I can swing a club buck, I can swing a club, but there's a difference between swinging a club and hitting a ball, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a good parallel too. I don't know if I should admit this, but I'm totally going to. But I was watching one of those stupid like Ninja Warrior TV shows for like hours. I was watching it for too long. But there was this dude, like, perfect example of that. He was like fucking juiced out. This guy was fucking yoked. And he didn't play golf, though. He just did long drive competitions. So he would fucking smash that ball like almost 600 yards. But that's it. Like, I think he said 580 was his best drive.
That's insane. But yeah, I mean, you got to have a short game, right? And I think a lot of people, like, they think that, like, that's kind of a good parallel. Like, unless you're going to Happy Gilmore that and get a hole in one out of the gate, you're probably going to be fucked. Because, like, when you run into, like, say the drive lands in a sand trap and you don't know how to use a wedge, like, you get your sun lotion and towel, man, because you're going to be on that beach a long time, you jackass. Like, because it's the short game shit that matters, right? And I think, again, like, I think you need to start with a clear vision. You need to have some awareness around what your potential downfalls from a habit standpoint are. And you need kind of a constant reminder of that goal, so that when you reach those inevitable, like, forks in the road, the decision becomes really easy. Like, and I think that's where a lot of people, it starts with like the lack of clarity, right? Like if it's like Mike Chang told me to get 6-pack abs, it's like, that's kind of vague. Like that's kind of really vague. Like, so I don't really know if when the cupcake is on the table, are you going to be thinking about Mike Chang? Or are you going to be thinking like, well, that's red velvet, I'm gonna eat the fuck out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And having some sort of rooted reason why you want to accomplish the goal, I think is really important. And being honest with yourself about some sort of objective assessment of where you're at and what it's going to take to accomplish that goal, and then maybe making more realistic goals along the way, or kind of regimenting your goals into obtainable pieces, so that you're getting some sort of accomplishment, some sort of positive reinforcement, working towards the bigger picture goal.
Yeah, and I find with that's a bit of a slippery slope, because like the pats on the back are going to be few and far between.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I would like to be a billionaire. If I set the goal to be a billionaire, well, first I have to pay rent next month. And and then the month after that, and I have to buy groceries, and then I have to put some money in my savings account, and then I have to invest that on the next Uber and turn it into $1 billion somehow. Right. There's things along the way that have to happen between, beer belly and 6-pack abs. Maybe, the difference is I start out at 23% body fat and I have an objective number. All right, I'm going to get below 20 by, this time. Or I'm going to get to 18, things along the way that are going to just be gauges of progress, I guess. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Not necessarily pats on the back, but things that are going to ensure that you're moving in the right direction towards the ultimate end goal. Yeah,
because I find, like, pain is an excellent motivator. We've seen this in clinical research, and I can tell you anecdotally, like, pain is a very, like, I don't want to say an excellent motivator, because there's research behind this. Pain is one half of motivation, right? So motivation is moving towards something that is of value. And hi, I'm back. Lundy, no time. Unbelievable. But yeah, if you have something you want to move away from and something you want to move towards, both of those are required for actual, like, motivation that incites action. So, like, a negative consequence can be, I don't want to say more powerful than a positive incentive, but if I were to, and me and just in doing this for so long, like I would choose a negative consequence over a positive incentive, because I feel like a lot of people blind themselves to the negative consequences being necessary in motivation. And then when the negative consequences start to creep up, that's when they freak out and they abort mission. When you realize that that is a part of like the motivation to make change, then you realize that, oh, okay, like this sucks, but it's good that it sucks. If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Just having some sort of driving factor that's going to reinforce the path that you're on, I guess.
But yeah, and sometimes that's the carrot, and sometimes that's the stick. But I feel like a lot of people, like when they set these goals that aren't theirs, the stick comes out and they go, wait a minute, this wasn't part of the plan. You're like, no, this is literally the plan. Like when the stick comes out, that mean, and the hard part is as you move forward is you know how to avoid, you get good at avoiding like these stick sort of negative reinforcement things. Like you know where the pitfalls are. So it's almost like you want to be able to continually find those negative reinforcing things that keep you on track, because they become less and less, and then you get disillusioned as you start to do, like as you start to reach goals and set new goals. You kind of get disillusioned in the actual goal setting process, and you start to really like curate goals that become easier and easier to achieve off the backs of goals you've achieved in the past. So it's like if you're going along and you haven't like stepped on a rake and something hasn't hit you in the face for too long, you might want to reevaluate what you're doing, because every now and then you should be fucking up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said earlier, anything worth doing is going to take some sort of struggle, and with struggle comes failure. And that's when, we already said it too, is that when you fail, how you react is going to determine either how bad you wanted that goal, how much that goal means to you, or if it's just this kind of paper thin sort of thing that you thought might be a nice idea and there's nothing to it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, how much it means to you, right? Like a lot of things are valued in like sort of this non-existent public eye that aren't valued to you. And it's like, you can tell, and it's pretty easy, and it's worth knowing. The sooner you realize it, the better. But a lot of people just go back to don't collect $200, and then they start on the same thing over again. It's like, if you keep failing at this, you probably don't want to do it in the first place. Like you maybe set that more abstract goal that will, when the shit comes, and it'll come, you're still motivated to stay on that track because it's worth it to you.
Absolutely.
And you know what's worth it to me? My goal is to see how high we can climb in the iTunes ranks. So if you're listening, go to the iTunes store and don't comment and subscribe, because we think that might not do anything. And we might think that some of the podcasters in the fitness space are paying people in Bangladesh to do this. But we don't have money to pay people in Bangladesh. So we're going to ask you, the loyal following, to just go subscribe to the YouTube channel, the podcast on iTunes, and then just hit get on whatever episodes you see. And let's see if this doesn't have us jump some of the interesting podcasts that are found on the top rank. So I'm going to keep an eye after this goes up. So yeah, go subscribe. If you want to comment, leave a review, fine. No 3 stars. Either we're polarizing. You either like us or we're 1 star. But I would say just subscribe, hit get on as many episodes as you can, and then we'll see if this doesn't fix, because I'm calling bullshit on a lot of podcasts I'm seeing in the fitness space, sort of creeping up without 200 episodes in the tank, and without a bunch of 5-star rating and reviews, and even 3 or 1-star rating and reviews. So if you guys could do that, that'd be great. And we could see if we can reach our goal, which really means nothing to us, but we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.